1973's Carnival of Monsters had the monumental task of following on from The Three Doctors, the serial that kicked off the show's 10th season by bringing back Hartnell and Troughton, introducing Omega, and finally fixing the TARDIS after 3 years of being in exile on Earth. With the end of the previous episode making it seem like we were in store for one more Earth-based story before the space adventures began, I was ready for one last mediocre romp across the UK, with the fumbling unit getting themselves killed at every corner. Turns out, what we got was the epitome of don't judge a book by its cover, or its first few pages. Seriously, in the opening minutes, I was bombarded with so much inexplicable nonsense. Tell me that doesn't look like Nicholas Courtney.
Reluctantly, one agrees.
The same vocal inflections and facial mannerisms. I actually laughed out loud because I fully believed that was him. And like, what's old Nick doing giving the exact same performance as the Brigadier, just without a mustache and grey face paint on? So colour me surprised when I found out, no, it's a completely different actor who could easily pull off the most convincing Brigadier performance in an alternate reality. And what's this? An alien North Pole Santa Claus situations with ugly creatures instead of elves? And what is that atrocious hair and costume design? This isn't the Mighty Boosh. What the am I watching? Well, if the intro to this video led you to believe that we were in for a complete disaster, then you're pretty much getting the same experience I did when I first tuned into this 4-part story. However, given a quick adjustment period to the setting and that bonkers costume, I quickly came to enjoy a really solid, well-told story. For example, those horrifying costumes become more understandable when you realise they are a couple of entertainers travelling around using bombast and special effects rather than genuine craftsmanship to wow their audiences. So, what's this one about? Well, despite the previous serial ending with a, "At last my TARDIS is fixed. Oh, I suppose that means you'll be scarpering off now. Oh, not to worry, Joe. I'm sure I've got time for one more Earth adventure before I go gallivanting around time and space." So this one opens with the Doctor and Joe gallivanting around time and space. The pair find themselves on a ship. Not a spaceship, like a water ship boat. You know what I'm talking about. And they quickly find out that the ship they're on is one of those legendary ships that went missing many years ago out in the middle of the ocean. Not a great place to find yourself, but they soon find that things aren't all they seem, and that they're actually stuck inside a simulation of sorts, repeating itself over and over again. Not a computer simulation, however, but like a microscopic ant farm of sorts inside the entertainer's machine. So it's like a controlled zoo of sorts, used for people's enjoyment. So all the creatures inside of it are alive and sentient. They're just programmed in a way to repeat the same actions over and over again, and then they're like projected up on a screen. It's unethical for sure. And it turns out it was actually the Doctor that convinced the Time Lords to ban and like outright outlaw these mental loop machines. But it's not like the lead entertainer has malicious intent or anything. He's just a bit clueless and doing what he can with what he's got to make money in the universe. This makes me think, how the fudge did the TARDIS end up inside this microscopic machine? Maybe she was upset about being stranded on Earth for so long, so deliberately took them into danger. There I go, using modern series lore to try and explain classic series continuity again. The TARDIS is sentient. The main danger of the main plot are the Drashigs. I really think they've got a cool design for Doctor Who standards. They looked so lame on the DVD covers, or so I thought, but seeing them in action, they're so creepy and slimy and gross. It's just, bring these guys back in the modern series, for real.
Coochie coochie coo. Coochie coochie coo. Who's a good little Drashig?
Don't over-animate them with rough CGI. No, keep their slow, lumbered movements. But yeah, these guys are cool. The sun's going down. Now, along with the main plot of the Doctor and Joe trying to escape this machine and find a way to rescue all the sentient beings trapped inside, the B plot revolves around these uppity grey geezers trying to stab each other in the back and screw over the entertainers. I love these bumbling grey guys. They've got a straight up Three Stooges goofiness dynamic about them, and I could easily watch a spin-off episode based entirely around them. The pompous leader who likes to do everything by the book. The posh, conniving second-in-command scheming to take control. And the cowardly third wheel who is very self-serving and just does whatever he's manipulated into doing. Strong characters for sure. I'll admit my mind gets a bit hazy when trying to remember elements near the end of the story because, long story short, about 10 minutes before it was supposed to finish, I had a good friend come to me in need of someone to talk to, so I ended up watching the last 10 minutes the next day. Nothing major, just, life stuff. Although even watching just 10 minutes of it the next day still had me enjoying myself. And if that isn't a testament to the episode's quality, then I don't know what is. As always, a few important things to note. First things first, I know if I don't mention it then someone will in the comments, but apparently the actor who plays 4th Doctor companion Harry Sullivan is in this serial. I know nothing at all about Harry as a character, so I wouldn't recognise him even if I saw him. But he's in there apparently. There's some really good sound design, particularly for the ship segments. There's always this low rumble of the ocean waves in the background of the scenes. Although I will admit, the Drashig's roar, while cool, could have probably used a bit of variety instead of the same two, screeches played on repeat in every single scene. Here's something I couldn't help but mockingly laugh at. There's a moment where the 3rd Doctor's picking a lock to try and escape, and Joe says something along the lines of, "Why don't you just use your sonic screwdriver to open the door?" To which the Doctor replies, "No, that only works on electronic locks." Oh, is that so, Doctor? What a crock of cow dung. I've seen you use that screwdriver on the most inexplicable of random objects. Can't open a wooden door, but can trigger a series of sudden explosions underwater. What? Yep, he's not even setting off landmines like he did with the fish people. His screwdriver's literally just creating massive explosions underwater out of nowhere. And here I was thinking that the 10th Doctor using his sonic screwdriver to blow a hole in a concrete wall in one of my old book reviews was taking things too far. Imagine contradicting yourself so hard in the same serial. And finally, this DVD actually has some of the coolest special features in a while, or at least for me. I'll admit I haven't been setting aside much time to look at bonus features and bonus discs and stuff. Oh, yeah, I do actually own the DVD. I know I mentioned last time that I didn't have it, and I just had the Blu-ray. I forgot I owned it. Thank you, Revisitations 2 box set. There's some pretty cool behind-the-scenes clips showing the puppetry they used for the Drashigs, and actually somewhat pioneering the use of miniatures in tandem with blue screen. It's entertaining. There's even an extended episode 2, which I wholeheartedly recommend watching instead of the standard one because, hey, it's extended and it's on disc 1 with the rest of the episodes and even features a cool Rejected theme tune remix. Also, there's a cameo from a Cyberman and an Ogron inside the machine. I guess the Doctor didn't really feel like rescuing them. In the end, Carnival of Monsters was a real good time. I could easily see this one being ruined by an extended 6-episode runtime, so I'm very grateful for its 4-part nature. I won't lie, I let the standard edition DVD cover and the bonkers intro blind me to what is otherwise a really decent story. Wait a second. Were those grey guys technically slavers? I mean, they executed one of the ugly creatures because they threatened to rise up. And the only reason the entertainers were there was to boost morale so they get back to work. Let's try not to think about that too much, because the Doctor certainly didn't. You might get a little bit embarrassed if somebody walks in the room while these two are on screen, but aside from that, it's a perfectly serviceable time with nothing too outrageous.
No, you look as if you need a peg.
Thank you, dear viewer, as always, for watching. I love reading all your comments and the fact that people still watch these. It means a lot to me. And if you're watching this sometime in the future, hope the future's cool. Considering the fact I thought we were in for another Earth-based story, which by now I'm completely tired of, this was a nice surprise. Now tune in next week for Frontier in Space, aka Dalek War.